So, hello everyone. I am the current Nominations Committee Chair, and we work together with the Election Committee to organize these by-elections of the Vice President External. So, welcome everyone to the by-elections of the Vice President External. So, the format of this forum will be I will ask each kind of a set of questions, the examples of which they might differ a bit from those that you see on the list. So I will ask each candidate a question and giving one time to answer those questions. After that, we will have the floor open to the questions from the audience. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer. Grace here will be helping you to locate the time, showing we have 10 seconds, or your time is up. When your time is up, I will cut you off to give the other candidate a moment to respond. And that's about it. Keep it light, everyone. So first candidate actually should be. I don't have the list of the candidates to introduce them, so we have open the session with introductions. Okay. So again, the first question would be: please introduce yourself and tell us what motivated you to run for this position. Okay.
So I'm Parman Shaibani. I'm a third-year PhD student in materials engineering. Currently, I'm at CME of UofA. So as a student, I have felt the struggles that the students are going through, and I've experienced quite a few of them myself as well. So these challenges could be problems like accommodation and affordable housing, transit safety, extended visa application times, and study permit application times. So what I plan to do is to tackle these problems, and that's what motivated me the most in order to run for this position. I have experience in marketing and also like as an engineering, I've developed the problem solving abilities quite well. So I hope to be a suitable candidate for this position. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate, please introduce yourself.
Sorry.
Tell us what motivated you about this position.
Thank you. Hello everyone, I'm Sumaira Niazi. I am a PhD student of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences, and I'm working there on First Nation communities wildfire preparedness. So quickly moving to the question of what motivated me for this position, I would say it started long ago. When I first time started working during my studies in the United States within an organization which used to work for the betterment of students of my own profession. So I worked there for 1 year, and when I moved to Canada, I started again with another organization. It is a national organization which works for the students of emergency management and disaster sciences. I'm honored to say that I have been recently elected by them as an emerging professional in our field. So to vast my experience and my commitment to the students, I started working as a volunteer with the GSA last year. So when the B2 position is announced, so I compared to apply for this position, and I'm very excited to fight for the students.
Thank you. Please, the last candidate.
Hello everyone, my name is Ajibola. You can call me Jibs. The reason I'm particularly interested in this position is because as an international student who has been an international student in 2 countries, I feel very keenly the sort of problems that international students, especially graduate students, face. And one of these key problems is the problem of funding and emotional support. A lot of times when people leave their countries for graduate studies, they find that it's not only financial problems that they encounter, they have to suffer the emotional toll of leaving their families behind and different emergencies that sometimes the university directly does not exactly have capacity for. And that's why I feel that it is important to engage all stakeholders to be able to represent all these graduate students.
Thank you. So next question for the other candidates. Parman, given that the GSA Vice President External is responsible for for external advocacy and community relations. What do you view as the number one priority that you should be elected for?
So my number one priority would be affordable housing and accommodation. Over the years, the number of immigrants have increased quite a lot, and with that, the demands for housing has increased as well. So it is expected that the rents go higher and higher. Nevertheless, the ones who rent these houses out to students are not to blame, because the expenses of living has increased and they have the right to do so. So I want to tackle this problem in a way. I want to kind of talk to the ones in power, the authorities, let it be the mayor or anyone else who is responsible. And I want to reduce the taxes on housing. So the way I want to do this is to convince them to pay the taxes by themselves and let the students not pay those taxes at all.
Thank you. Sumaira, Niazi, can you repeat the question? What do you believe are the most pressing issues facing graduate students that you would like to address as a vice president or should you be elected?
Yeah, if I'm elected as a vice president, so my main focus would be advocacy. So advocacy at every level is important, provincial, federal, and municipal. But my first priority would be provincial advocacy. Since we know that since 2021, the provincial budget for the Alberta secondary institutes and even particularly for University of Alberta has reduced a lot, and it has squeezed students' institution as well. So first I will prioritize that by reinforcing Alberta GPAC as well. And after that, federal advocacy will be my priority, and along with the CASA I will be working.
Thank you. Jibs, you have the floor.
I think my priority will be advocacy for better funding and more specifically for emergency funding for graduate students. And I see this as someone who has friends who are, for example, one of them is in the hospital now who's pregnant and who has had to sort of combine the challenges of being a mother with graduate studies. And I also feel that the Graduate Student Association itself cannot do all this by itself, so it needs a lot of support from different stakeholders, from the government to other non-profit organizations to be able to support and increase this course that can make available for graduate students that are in their area.
Thank you. The next round of questions, Parman. The graduate student population is a very diverse group, including students with children, mature students, and international students, as well as students from a broad range of disciplines and backgrounds. Explain how will you represent all voices in this diverse population?
I understand that the university consists of a very diverse group of students who have different kinds of needs, and getting to all of these can be quite challenging. Let it be parents who are studying and they are also raising their children at the same time, international students who have to deal with visa applications and study permits, and it might take a long time to get back from CRA, and also domestic students who face challenges of starting an independent life. I want to assure everybody that I will listen to feedback from all types of groups and do what in my power to answer to them. And also the main goals that I have set, they benefit all groups equally, and I hope to be able to achieve them.
Thank you. Please, Sumaira, you have the floor.
Firstly, thank you for this question. I can say that I am well positioned for diverse group of students because firstly I am myself a parent. I am an international student and I am a mature student as well. And apart from that, students coming from the different departments. In my own family, we are 4 siblings and my husband, we all are from the different professionals. And so growing up, I know the students in every profession what students are facing in terms of different challenges. And again, I would mention that I myself coming from a humble background, so I know what type of challenges all these students are facing in the university. So I can relate very well with them.
Okay. Jibs, please.
As a graduate student in educational policy studies with a specialization in international education, I understand clearly the importance of a diverse group of graduate students. And in fact, I have to, as a matter of course, to interact with different graduate experiences from different countries. And I do that because of that. I'm very clearly aware of the nuances of a diverse graduate population. And so, because of my focus in my studies, I quickly get feedback to be able to respond to the needs of the different and diverse graduate population at the University of Alberta.
Thank you. Thank you all the candidates for getting strictly time. I don't see I have seen three squads raising the hand.
So you're doing very well.
Doing very well. So the next question is about your time availability. So taking into account that the vice president work between 20 to 30 hours a week and need to be attending all the preset meetings as part of their duties, as well as the meetings of multiple committees. How do you intend to balance the demands of this position with your other commitments, such as research, family? Sorry, Parman?
No problem. So, as a third-year PhD student, I have managed to balance my personal life, my academic responsibilities, and my research. So, through this, I have enhanced my skills such as time management and prioritizing tasks. So, this would be really helpful to me, and I think that through the research I have done about this position in GSA, I would not have many problems handling it. In fact, I think that this will help me to enhance my multitasking ability. And all in all, this goes back to my research, and I would have a better experience overall.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Sumaira, yeah. Good job.
So yeah, I would say that I believe on my management skill as right now with all my PhD and my own personal commitments, I'm working with 3 organizations as a volunteer. The CRHNet, First Nation Immigration Partnership within the University of Alberta, and then the GSA as well. So I know how to schedule and prioritize my tasks based on my requirements, and I know how to do that. So I believe I would be able to do that as well. Yeah, and I understand that sometimes there are expectations, emergency tasks as well. So and I have been to these things before as well. So I have learned with the time that how to manage all these things together.
Thank you. Jibs, please.
As an undergraduate who worked full-time while I was studying, and even when I was doing my master's, I had several other professional responsibilities. So it has been a key part of my professional growth to be able to manage diverse expectations and diverse portfolios. So in fact, I think that I'll be able to manage very well the commitments that this role requires with my studies. And things would only get worse as I proceed with my PhD. So I think this is the right time to do it.
Thank you. So, last set of questions. That for me, and then I will open the floor to the audience. So please answer. The Vice President external role involves significant interaction with external and internal stakeholders. How do you build and maintain relationships, especially with representing a large and diverse group of students, approaching interests at the university and government level? What strategies would you use to make sure that our voices are heard externally?
Right. I'm quite a social person, and this experience has come from marketing experience that I have. So there you learn to approach different types of people and learn how to convince them and listen to your ideas in order to have a benefit, have a mutual, and realize what your mutual benefits are. So I believe that I'm open to hearing from all types of groups and able to interact with everybody equally. So it doesn't matter to me who is in front of me, I will adapt to the situation and answer properly.
Thank you. Ms. Sumaira?
So yeah, my primary goal in this situation will always be for the student advocacy, but at the same time I will try my best to keep my professionalism intact as well. Before like talking about any issue or approaching any concerns, I will always try, I do that, I always try to do the homework before doing anything, so I will try to have a comprehensive understanding of the issue. I will talk to the students as well before that so that I have a clear understanding of their perspective on that one and their point of view and their feedback. And then while approaching to the administration, I will try to keep it transparent as well. And I believe that with the clear communication and the good listening, you can always understand the situation and you can communicate your point of view very well. And eventually we all are working, administration and us and other stakeholders, for the betterment of students. So I will always try to find a common ground to sort of
Thank you.
As a trained PR professional, there is a saying that you have to make friends before you leave them. And I find that to be very imperative when you're having advocacy roles. And one of the reasons that is particularly very important in this role is because a lot of times people might think, different stakeholders might think that they are on opposite ends, but eventually they come to the realization that, or they've been friends before they get into some very contentious issues, they will realize that it's something that they will be able to come to terms with and move forward with. I also believe that it is very imperative to, at every point in time, always know that we are all rooting for the same thing.
Thank you. And now the floor is open for the questions from the audience. So if you have a question, just please raise your hand.
Is there any specific rules for the question or no?
What do you mean?
Like number of questions?
If you have several questions, I would probably encourage you to ask them one by one. We actually have sufficient time to probably will have ample time to ask all your questions. Yes, please. Before you ask your question, please also introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Adigun. I'm in my personal capacity as a member of the GSA and not in my other capacity as Chief Education Officer of the Students' Union of the University. So my question is to Parman. Is that getting me on your hand?
Parman, yes.
Yeah. So Parman, you said you want to lobby for cutting taxes, but GSA is not an order of government. How will you cut taxes then?
Right. So as the GSA VP external candidate, we have the grounds to talk to many authorities. And the way I plan to do this is to, like, for instance, if we are approaching the mayor, we could just suggest the idea and then push for it and see how they feel about the idea. Because at the end of the day, it's beneficial to both students and like the government as a whole.
But with the city running a big deficit, would the city mayor consider this?
Well, you won't ever know until you push for it, right? Maybe like if there's a team that is pushing for it, if there are multiple people who are pushing for it at the same time, maybe they just would be on this.
Thank you. More questions? Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, my question is going to be directed to you again because I heard you mention like you're going to work with the government and to see that students get their study permit approved on time and stuff like that. I know that this is our responsibility of the ROCC, and then to allow people in, it's responsibility of the CBSA. So as an organization, GSA, and we have the National Students Office here. I'm just trying to find out how you're going to achieve this, because I know that ROCC work independently, and it's even very difficult to get across to ROCC through the institution. So most students have to pass through the Member of Parliament in their locality to get through the ROCC. But saying that the GSA wants to come here, I'm trying to wonder in what capacity, how are you going to achieve that?
Could you please reformulate the question in a more succinct form?
Okay. So my question is, how are you going to achieve facilitating or expediting study permit approval extensions for students, international students within the GSA?
Well, again, we have the ability to talk with many authorities. I have faced a similar problem myself. I'm waiting for my visa extension for about a year now, which is quite rare. So this is one of the things that motivated me to actually run for this job, in order to see what can be done. I'm not particularly sure who can do something about it, but I'm gonna make sure to talk to anybody who will do anything about it in their power. So we have the ability to talk to many authorities, and I'm sure that something will be done about it.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I have a question from the candidate one. You mentioned about decreasing the number of taxes for the housing and increase the living within the Alberta or Edmonton. Don't you think so that this is not the only solution, because it is multi-dimensional problem? So there should be some other increased funding in that thing. So what do you think about it? This could be done in other ways as well, because cutting the taxes is very difficult, because government is earning end of the day from that and they are investing back on us. So how do you think about this?
Yes, I completely agree that that's not the only option. But I do think that the government can help in some sort of way. Let it be reducing taxes, or as you mentioned, providing specific funding for that. Helping students in a way by providing them loans, for instance, with low interest, or some sort of help like that. So yes, I agree that this topic is pretty expanded, and there might be other ways to do it as well. And when I get into the job, I'm gonna explore the possibilities.
Do you have some specific plan for it? Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm irritating.
Are there any more questions before I take this one?
Oh yeah, so Jibs.
Okay, please go ahead, and then you will be able to ask the question.
Okay, my name is Peter. I'm a second year master's student in civil engineering. So I keep listening to people talk about multitasking. In reality, we keep mentioning multitasking while causing other problems in other aspects of our lives, which we don't take note of. So I'm just wondering, you mentioned multitasking, being able to blend your academics with taking the interest of the students, right? So how do you intend to effectively do that while ensuring equity, diversity, and inclusion without being biased with your own timing and doing stuff that can put the students' interest in the forefront? So how do you think you can effectively do that without compromising other aspects? Like some days you might just not be in the mood, right? While some days you might just be in the mood to represent. How do you intend to narrow those stuff and be in your right frame of mind every time when mentioning multitasking?
So there was a bit of reiteration on the same question. So could you please present the final version?
Oh.
It's alright. I think I got it. I think I got the gist of the question. For me, advocacy comes very naturally, and that's precisely because I studied political science and I've worked in non-profits, in the non-profit sector before. So advocacy comes very naturally to me. And because of that, I do find a lot of fun and enjoyment in meeting people and reaching out and making all connections that are necessary to advance the goals of whatever cause that I lend myself to. And because of that, it also makes it very easy for me because I'm studying educational policy. A lot of the things that I have to read basically help me in my academics. So work and this job is usually they are very mutually enhancing. So that's how I think I would be able to do that effectively.
Thank you. You had your question.
I just forgot it.
So, are there any more questions from the audience? Okay.
So my question is to any of the candidates. So considering the GSA's relationship with the provincial government is damaged, what I see is formed based on our current interaction. Bill 18, how we are trying mending that relationship, because it's so crucial that you meet with the Minister of Advanced Education and the GSA VP external, not the vice GSA president has met the Minister of Advanced Education, because when it comes to education, it's a provincial jurisdiction. No matter how much federal lobbying you try, it is the Minister of Advanced Education and the Premier of Alberta is whom your final go-to person is. How would you all try building that relationship once again?
So since the question is to all the candidates, we'll just take turn with that.
Like in any organization, you might have different ideas. Everybody can have their own set of ideas, but when you approach another person and talk about it, you should not be like fighting against them. You should realize that at the end of the day, you're all working together for the common goal, for the same goal, and that is letting students have a better experience overall, because this will benefit the country itself. So all in all, I think that there won't be a problem. You just have to know what to talk about and not push for things that are controversial.
Thank you. Sumaira.
Yeah, I would say that right now I don't know why they have not been approached. But once I am within the GSA committee, I would work on that. Why VP external or president did not approach the provincial level of education before that. Then we will try to find out a way, because obviously we all are working. I will agree to the comment that we all are working for the same cause. So trying to approach them again and again, and eventually I think they will respond to us and they will help us in whatever issues we are facing. But I cannot provide a pet answer right now. But once I am in the team, and I will try to sort out and understand the issue, and then we'll try to find out a proper solution based on that.
Well, for me, I feel that it is very important to understand that the University of Alberta plays a pivotal role in the educational needs of the province. And as long as we can see eye to eye with the provincial government on those sort of priorities, I think it would be a very important starting point to be able to have very cordial relationships and find ways forward. And I do not necessarily think that there's a relationship that is not that can't be amended. I think that going forward, once we understand that the priorities of the province can actually be met by graduate students at the University of Alberta, we'll be able to have a good end.
Please.
Yeah, I know my question is going to be long. So, in summary, it's just mass communication. So, we've all talked about solutions. So, how do you get back to students? Let's just say, for instance, someone like me who doesn't like to read so much, and someone doesn't like to look at his own emails frequently. What are other ways of communicating? Let's say you are elected, right? What are some key communication strategies to bring back whatever progress you're making to the students? Since we know that everyone has different diverse ways of taking information, how do you think you can include everyone with passing your information, whatever progress you're making?
And
To
the
everyone.
question was
To everyone, so yeah, to the
And we'll get take turns, unless anyone has like really understand.
I think it's very important to design messages where people want them. A lot of times, graduate students already read a lot, and that's already very, very tasking. And so it is important to reach on social media. Of course, graduate students sometimes are not on social media, because they try to also keep their study away. But as long as we provide all these platforms available to them, I think it's very important so that wherever they need them, they can find those channels of communication readily available, whether it's on Instagram or some newsletters. A lot of opportunities will be available graduate students to be able to access the information they need and to also give back, feedback and their kind of the other priorities they require.
Yeah, I would agree that sometimes I also miss some emails that are very important, so it happens. Everybody's not an email person, so but I am on the social media pages as well of different universities, so sometimes I get information from there as well. But within the GSA works in many different platforms, like they set the tables as well. When I was working as a volunteer, I set a table as well. We were talking to the students, we were calling students that if they are graduate or undergraduate, what we want to talk about them. So we can arrange in-person meetings, virtual meetings. GSA arrange breakfast as well for the students. They come to us and talk to us about the issues. So there are multiple ways where students can be interacted. Food is always available within the GSA whenever there is a meeting. So it is a great way to attract student attention as well. I'm foodie person, so I always go when the food is there. So yeah, there are multiple ways we can approach students about these things.
All the other candidates already talked about most of the options available. I just want to say, it's kind of the students' responsibility as well to look through their social media, to look around, look at posters, for instance, talk to others, and recognize what's happening around them. As Sumaira said, yes, it's easy to miss emails. So if there are important topics that you want to make everybody aware of, you'll just spread the words through multiple ways. For instance, posting posters on social media, through email and various other ways. And I'll try to make sure that enough meetings are held with the GSA and students in order to get their voice out.
Thank you. You had a question?
Yeah.
And then you have a question.
Yeah.
You go ahead, and then I'll take your question.
So this is the follow-up to the question that I asked. So will you support the provincial government on Bill 18, or will you take the stand on what the GSA president has taken currently?
I'd rather not answer this question right now, I would say, because it's a very controversial topic.
No, but GSA has already taken a stance on it.
But perhaps if I am part of the GSA, I will one day answer that question. I'd rather not.
Thank you. That was a question to all the candidates. Okay.
I will say that by concept I know what's happening in the bills, but I don't know the number. So if you would like to mention the Bill 18, that broadly what it is about, so probably I would know that I'm very
It's the Provincial Priorities Act, which is calling for provincial oversight on what the provincial entities like universities specifically. So the
way
GSA.
they are changing the priorities of the education.
No. It's about provincial.
Broadly, kind of
I'm talking about the name of the bill. So the bill requires provincial oversight on all provincial institutes. For example, like the University of Alberta. So for example, if research funding has to come from the federal government, then it will be vetoed by or checked by the provincial government. So are you going to stand with the provincial government, or are you going to stick with what the GSA has currently said?
No, I will stay with the GSA because there are a lot of federal governments.
A lot. There's just one.
There are a lot of federal grants. Sorry. There are a lot of federal grants that students are working on, and students avail those grants. So I will obviously stand with the GSA because with the only provincial government holding on all these things, we will be missing a lot of things, even in terms of research, in terms of funding. My own funding is not from the province of Alberta; it is from outside Canada, like within the Canada, but it is from the federal government. So many students are going to lose those opportunities. So I will stand with GSA.
Before you proceed, for the interest of equity, because we have to give each candidate equal amount of time, and it's really difficult to take time when there is passing up and down. I will cut the discussion. So please state your question in the form that is initially asked, and let the candidates answer that. Okay? Just because we have to give equal amount of time. Okay? Please proceed.
I think on my part, it's a very straightforward answer, really. And I think in the past, federal government spending on higher education has actually increased, while provincial government spending has decreased. And so I think it is imperative to let the person who pays the piper dictate more of the tune. And if the provincial government wants to have a better say in the priorities of higher education in the province, they should step up with more funding. And if we allow that sort of competitiveness between the federal government and the provincial government, I think the graduate student body in general will stand to benefit more from it.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
I have a question from all three members. Like over the years, we have seen like there is increased number of fees. Like from last year, it's like 2% increase for the domestic students, and we've seen like non-instructional fees are even more than the instructional fees, and there are reduced fundings. Like I've seen over the years, like I have been like doing research on that, and like in 10 years we have seen like there is a reduced number of fundings even in engineering or some of the departments. So none of you have like this on your agenda that you would do something or advocate for that. So do you people have like something in your mind or plans how you can like do something related to that and to reduce the fees and give some more power to students in terms of like their economy, or like I don't have the word for that, but still what.
So the question would be, how do you see reducing the fees within the university?
Push for more funding.
Yeah, reduce funding and increase fees. Like.
Okay, that is a question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then you ready to answer that?
Yeah, when we were asked a question about our priority, then I said that my main priority would be provincial advocacy, particularly for the funding. Like we have seen, like this funding issue has, whatever I read, correct me if I'm wrong, that since 2021, the funding has been reduced at province of Alberta and then for University of Alberta particularly as well. Right now, I was reading that from 2024-2025, our funding and for the next 2 years and previous, our funding is stagnant. I mean, it is not going up. It has some relaxation that students receive with just 2%. However, the inflation has been increased at 10%. So we are facing that, and obviously it is, I think, the main priority, at least in my agenda, talking about the funding. And once university has the funding, the university will be able to provide more scholarships and funding to the students, and I think then we can work around with that in terms of the tuition fee as well.
Well, internationally, Canada ranks very, very low in funding graduate studies, and it's one of the reasons why the President Flanagan says that Canada is losing global talent. Nationally, I think that it is important that once we start to advocate for better funding packages, I think we can then start to also find other sources of funding for graduate students to be able to afford non-tuition expenses. Because for me, I think a lot of graduates, because of in the recent past, there's been some at least guaranteed funding for PhD students. So I think what is more important and what's more of a priority now is to be able to have other funding packages to support that holistic experience.
Thank you. Niazi, have a floor.
So I believe that many organizations are actually pushing for this in order to like increase fundings and like reduce the unnecessary funding. But as you mentioned, I realized myself that the non-instructional fees sometimes don't make sense to me. Like there are many services that many students don't make use of. So why should they pay for it, right? So again, I'm not sure how much that can be pushed, and until I get inside GSA, I cannot guarantee anything. But since I'm experiencing this myself, I will definitely try to do something about it. Thank you for mentioning.
Thank you. Any more?
Yeah, one last question. But first, my apologies. I didn't introduce myself first time. My name is Leonard. I'm a second year MSc student in civil and environmental engineering. So my question, just like, how are you going to work with other members of the GSA, like other members of the executive, like to ensure that you don't work in silos and all of you collaborate towards the common goal of the GSA?
Is that question to
For all of them, all of them.
Okay.
The GSA president, the GSA, do you want to go?
No, I just wanted to know the question again.
Okay, go ahead.
The GSA presently has a strategic work plan, and I think that it's very imperative to work within those plans and contribute to it holistically, so that the GSA is an institution and a body, so it's very important to always work in tandem with that sort of holistic goal. And once we know that it's a team, it's always very important to have that sort of vision and the operations. And so the alliances and the team work required to get things done will have to be put in place. So I think because of that strategic work plan, it's always very important to contribute into that.
Thank you. Who's ready to answer?
Yeah, so like as I said before, like in any organization there might be different ideas. It's inevitable. But like it's the thing is like we should all work professionally together. Sure, like we might not agree on everything, but we can talk about it and like come to a conclusion together. So we're a team, as Jibs said, and it's not that we're against each other. So I'm sure that things will work out.
But I have read from the questions like how all our executives are going to collaborate in fact.
Yeah, how are you going to collaborate with other executives and not work in silo? Like, how are you going to like trust other executives, work together to achieve your common goal? Being that you are now a new member of the executive, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like if I start from myself on teamwork. So teamwork always yield very productive results. And while volunteering for GSA, as far as I know, in GSA people work in very good collaboration and with the teamwork, and their roles are very much defined. I mean, there is no what do you think, repetition of roles. So roles are very much defined. But I have always found GSA teams working in collaboration, and it's not very like working in their own corners, but they are all work in collaboration, and I would love to work in the similar way here.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I will take one last question from the audience. If there's two.
No, I'll Parman and I'll have.
Okay, then the last question.
It's just split the question.
What do you mean?
Like I have a small question for Sumaira and the rest for all the other candidates.
You can split the question.
Sumaira, you have been also on the GSA Relations Committee as an outreach coordinator. Do you plan to leave the position once you win, or will you continue?
And before you answer, please state your second question to the other candidates, and then we'll proceed with the answers.
Okay, so the other question is, everyone saying that non-instructional fees are quite high and they are redundant. You feel it, like one of the non-instructional fees is the GSA membership itself.
Yeah.
How will you get rid of that? Do you plan to stick and advocate for keeping GSA fees, or like reduce increasing it, or do you all feel that GSA has to collect more user fees in order to be more efficient?
Can I just clarify, just so
Yes,
that
please.
everyone is, the GSA fee is a fee that's mandated by the province, so it's not something you can opt out of. I don't know if that helps. but-
Yeah, that helps.
Yes.
Like, do you all plan to increase it or ask for more fees in order to improve the services, or do you all feel that with the current charges what are there, like you all can do better with that?
Okay, so as we your question.
Yeah, I was working with GSA in two different roles as a deputy speaker as well, which I already designed before applying for this position. And the outreach coordinator, definitely it is a conflict of interest. I cannot keep two positions together. So once I'm VP, I resign from that.
And you have the second question.
Yes, so like as a student myself, I always pay these fees, and I think the services that GSA has provided to this date, like this fee is quite expectable, I would say. And so I don't think that GSA BP External has much to say about this matter, but I think like neither it should be increased or decreased. The amount is fine.
On my part, I feel that a lot of fees that are mandatory sometimes often come without the necessary responsibilities to be able to use them effectively. And I feel that it is very important that once you're paying mandatory fees, you must get the necessary services out of them. Secondly, there are some other instructional fees or non-instructional fees that the university mandates. I'm not sure how much flexibility one has in advocating for the reduction of that. On my part, I feel that it is important for us to meet those fees with the required funding for it, and that which is why I am all for advocating for more funding, so that if there is an increment in those fees, there can be an increment in meeting them.
Thank you. That concludes the session, I think.
But Sumaira didn't get a chance
Oh, but you answered the.
Yeah.
There was a split question.
But she didn't get to answer the second question.
I was
Do you-
supposed to answer the second question.
Do you want to answer the second question?
Yeah, there are few fees that I myself don't like to be there, like the gym fee. I never use that gym. So, and I don't know if the art fee is compulsory. I think we have to pay it even if we are not using it. I'm not using our card. So there are things that the student should have some options. Maybe to run the system, a part of it should be paid, not the full amount. There should be some system for that, and if for running the system, every student should not be compulsory to pay that tuition, rather than we should seek funding for the survival of that system. We cannot say that okay, everybody should be paying for the iCard if you are not using it. We have to find some middle ground for that.
And then everyone is happy. Great to conclude the session. Thank you everyone. Thank you for some questions. Thank you for some answers. And I think you can reward yourself with a gift pizza.